I'm going to show you the only reason your chiropractic practice doesn't have as many new patients as you'd like it to, and exactly how to fix that. At this point, I've helped over 50 chiropractors break past slow months, many of them hitting all-time revenue highs. And if you watch through this video, you're going to learn 3 ways to drive more new patients to your practice for no more than the cost of a lunch or a cup of coffee. There's only one way to grow your practice, right? So situation, let's paint this picture. You get the best results. Your patients absolutely love you. You're wondering why that isn't enough to grow your practice. You're building it, but you're not getting as much traction as you thought it would. Here's why. You're not getting enough leads, right? People will not be able to work with you if they don't know you exist. Okay. So the harsh truth is, like, honestly, we're probably not just telling enough people consistently enough about what it is you do. And 100% of growth is about people knowing about what you do, right? It's about us letting people know what it is that you do. Because the only way we grow is by bringing more people into the practice, right? And there's only 2 ways to do this. Number 1, we spend our time. Number 2, we spend our money. Okay, so today I'm going to show you 3 free ways to generate leads and book more patients than you know what to do with every month. But before we dive in, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Most doctors that work with us see big successes in just a couple months, but some don't. And it's almost always because they think they're growing their practice is supposed to be easy, right? And again, it's just important stuff to remind yourself, right? If you're not happy with your current growth, you're probably not doing enough. And so especially as we're looking for free ways to grow the practice, let's just paint a super clear picture here. You have to work 10 times as hard as you currently are, right? And yes, you should be working smart and you should be working hard, 100%. And actually, like, we have Dr. Morgan, who we started off with 4 months ago. And I'll show a little bit about her testimony later, but she absolutely crushed it. And a lot of the docs around her, she just opened her practice 4 months ago, right? A lot of the docs around her is like, how the heck did you take your practice from where you are to where you were to where you are now? And literally it was doing so much action that it made it unreasonable for her not to hit her goal. And so we'll talk about what those numbers exactly were later in this video. But Dr. Morgan, she went, and I even asked her, like, hey, do you mind just sharing, like, with all the other docs in here, the level of effort that it took you to actually get, over 15 new patients booked in a single month by the 4th month of you starting your practice? And she was like, yeah, sure. And she painted this picture, and it was like, hey, yeah, I'm going to events, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to, all these different places. And every week I'm trying to outreach and trying to let at least 10 to 20 people know about what it is I do and try and get them booked, right? And we'll talk about, like, actually how we can apply that. But the level of work she was doing was far more than anyone thought. When they heard her talk about it, everyone was like, oh, wow, that sounds like a lot of work. And it was like, yeah, it is a lot of work, right? And so that's what we're going to be breaking down. But I want to set that scene, because if we don't have that mentality coming in, it's not going to work. So here's strategy number 1 to get more leads, to get more new patients booked. Number 1 is one-on-one outreach, right? You go out of your way to find people, tell them what you do, and schedule an appointment, right? And it consists of the following, right? So number 1, we build out a list of contacts from your phone, email, social media, just memory for all patients you've seen, right? If you don't have it in your EHR, or if your practice is brand new, you're not going to have any of those people in an EHR because you don't even have one yet. But we have a few steps here. So we're building out a list. Spend our first, 30 minutes. I say just close your eyes, write as many names down as you possibly can. Open them as you're writing them down, but write them down as fast as you can. And just close your eyes and try and remember any other names that come to mind that I could talk to about this, right? And so once we have our list, now we make personalized introduction. And so what does that look like? And we'll talk about that a little bit more. We actually have a cheat sheet I'm going to give you guys, summarize this entire thing. But we'll talk about that later on. But we have a personalized intro, right? So it's not just like, hey, do you want to come into practice? That is not going to work, right? It doesn't sound genuine either with these people that people that you've talked to, people that you've had good relationships with. It's more so like check in on them, actually care, right? If you haven't checked in with people, it's a great excuse just to get reconnected. And this ends up being a lot of fun for, at least for myself when I've done it in the past, it ends up being a lot of fun for our practitioners because they're just reaching out to people that they already want to be in touch with and want to stay in touch with, right? And so just personalized intro, like, hey, how is XYZ about your life going? It's been a minute since we chatted, missed you, whatever it might be, something simple. Then we have a little conversation, we just start getting talking about their life, right? And this is true. Like if we're building out this list, like this is so true because we should have an idea of who they are, right? And so we can talk a little bit about their life, check in with them, and then start steering the conversation towards health. Like, how is XYZ in your health going, right? And if we find out that like, hey, things are going great, things are not going great, whatever it might be, cool. It's like, got it. That makes a ton of sense. Do you know anyone? And I always ask, like, do you know anyone else that is dealing with XYZ that might be able to come into our practice? Right? Do you know anybody else that is dealing with this, and this, low energy, maybe pain, maybe, injury, whatever it might be in your practice that you can help with? Do you know anyone that's dealing with this that might want to come in? We're running this special, and I always have some kind of special going for these one-on-ones because it makes it feel more custom. It makes it feel like there's an actual reason you're reaching out, right? So biggest thing, we want to be natural, make an offer they can't say no to. Free first visit does work best if it's for them. If it's for a referral, you can also do that. You can also do a, free consult and adjustment when they purchase their exam, or you can do like discounted first visit. If we have the time, we don't have the money, we need to be trading that time for money, right? That's the biggest thing. So with that said, next we're going to, option number 2 for one-on-one outreach, we go find our ideal patient. So after I recommend, if we're doing one-on-one outreach, we always start with the list because the easiest people, it's the people you already have warm connections to. Option number 2, now this is cold connections. Okay. So this goes to find your ideal patient. Where do they hang out? Right. We have some prenatal docs. For them, it's like, cool, doulas, right? Cool. It's, pelvic floor PT, whatever it might be. Right. We have a lot of docs that are like injury, rehab, strength. There's, just overall family wellness. It's like awesome. Gyms, smoothie bars, yoga classes, Pilates, cycling, right? You find these places where your people hang out. And if you find them there, then it's like, cool. All my people go to Orange Theory, right? Which if you don't know, it's a gym. And it becomes really easy to be like, okay, cool. I'm getting an Orange Theory membership. This is an example of like what Dr. Morgan did. She went, and I know she was doing a lot of bar classes, because she knew that the moms that she wanted to bring into the practice were there, and she'd be going to these bar classes, introducing herself to other clients of the bar studio, and then also the staff of the bar studio, right? And she got to know them. And when something came up where someone was like, oh, I've had this pain, which she said is very common in gym, right? People say that they have pain or they're sore in here or whatever. Then we can share a little bit about like, oh, I'm actually a chiro. I might be able to help with that. Like, do you mind if we get you booked real quick and you pull out your phone? I'd love to give you a discount. I'd love to give you a free first visit just because I want to see if I can even help you. Right. And it's a reason to bring it up right there and then, and to get them scheduled right there and then. But one of the biggest things I've seen with people that say that, hey, one-on-one outreach doesn't work, is that we're not actually getting them booked right there and then. We're giving a business card or having them take the action, which they are busy enough as is. Just like, I'm sure that there's people that have given you business cards where you'll take them and you do absolutely nothing with them. Not because you don't, and sometimes you may not want to do anything with those businesses, sure. But other times, like, it's not because you didn't want to, it's just you forgot about it. And I'm sure like in your wallet, in your purse, in, wherever you keep that stuff, maybe in your trash can, there are business cards of people that you could have reached out to, that you would like to have had, had worked with in accomplishing a specific goal in your life. But you didn't. And so with that said, one of the biggest things we do is we get them scheduled right there and then. If they're like, hey, I don't have my calendar, I need to, no worries. What's the best number so we can text and do this thing, right? So I can text you and we shoot them a message and then we get them scheduled after that, right? We schedule the appointment, save their contact info, and that is one-on-one outreach, right? Strategy number 2, referrals. So this strategy, obviously, this is tough. It only works if you have an established patient base, right? If we don't have a patient base, how are you going to bring in referrals, right? Most people have no idea how or when to ask. Okay. Which makes it awkward for you and for the patient, right? And then you make your patients feel uncomfortable, or you don't end up asking. And yeah, it just ends up not being a fun time. So here's our referral strategy we use to get 5 referrals a week. And it consists of, right, asking more. Easy way to do this. There's a study, and I know I've cited it before, but there's a study that was looking at weight loss, right? And it was basically like think of like a health coach that was running an A/B test, or like just trying to figure out like, hey, if I have half of my people during the holiday season try and lose weight, she told half to try and lose weight, but one caveat, they're not allowed to weigh themselves. So they just have to take the actions they think they need to do to lose weight. Then she told the other half of the group, hey, I don't want you to try and lose weight. Whatever. I don't know exactly what she told them, but I'm guessing it was something along as, you don't have to lose weight. We'll do that at the beginning of next year. Go enjoy yourself. But she told them you don't have to try and lose weight, right? But the one caveat there is you do have to weigh yourself every day and just keep track of it so we have it when we come back, right? And she found that the group A, right, the first group that was told try and lose weight, don't weigh yourself, ended up gaining an average of a couple pounds. Group number 2 that was told don't weigh yourself. I'm sorry, don't try and lose weight, but do weigh yourself, ended up losing weight on average. And it's like this big, like mind-blowing thing. It's like, wow, like what gets tracked, what gets measured gets improved, right? And we can talk all about the reasons why, but you think about the positive reinforcement when you do end up losing some weight, losing 0.2 pounds on the scale, even though it was Christmas, like that's just going to incentivize you even more to keep on pushing. The times where you see the weight going up is going to be like that quick reinforcement, like, oh shoot, I need to take a step back and be like, what actions did I do that led to that increase? I want to change that up. I don't want to see my progress go down that I just worked, the past 12 months for at the end of the year, right? And so what we do here is we want to track the number of times we're asking every week. So I just recommend you put on your desk, you put somewhere in your practice, just a date, just write the date and then start a tally. How many times did I ask today? Right? How many times did I ask today? And then number 2, we track how many referrals did I get today? And the way we do this, and we'll talk a little bit about what to say and that kind of deal. But the way we do this is we track how many referrals did we get in our week. Let's say you had 10 referrals, and let's say you asked for 10 referrals in a week, and let's say you got 1 referral in a week, and that replicated itself for 8 weeks straight, right? It's like, okay, cool. So for every 10 referrals we ask for, we get 1 referral that comes in the door, right? And so it becomes really easy to be like, okay, cool. If I want to get another 5 referrals, then I have to ask 50 times in a week. Right? If I want to get 5 referrals a week, and our numbers should be better than that. We'll talk about how to improve those, but that's the basic concept. We want to have measurable inputs so we have a measurable output and an expected outcome we can take from, predict from the situations we're putting ourselves in. Okay. How do we do this? Right. And we'll talk about Google reviews right here. So first step here, I always start with asking for a Google review. We should ask for the Google review right when we hear about them talking about a win. So if we don't have a Google review from this patient, and I would also be tracking that, just have a list of your patients and tally like who is, yes, have they left a Google review? No, they haven't. When we hear about a win, like, oh, I've been feeling great about this. I've been feeling good about this. I'm getting back into doing this thing. I got back into playing baseball again, or playing softball with my, my men's group, or whatever it is, whatever you hear. Fantastic. Tell me a little bit more. We inquire, we ask them to paint the story of what happened. And then we say like, okay, cool. End of the visit. Is there any way, do you mind like scanning this QR code? And I would have a QR code for a Google review, or have the link and you can text it to them. Would you mind leaving Google review? Like literally typing up like just a few sentences, but writing up the exact story you just walked me through. Right? Or writing up your exact experience you just told me about, how you tried all these different things and that didn't work, but this did. Do you mind just, or you tried all these things, didn't work to get you back to this goal you had, and now you're back doing this goal working with me, right? We want to be specific with what we're asking for, but do you mind doing that real quick? I'll, like scan this QR code before you leave. And we want them to scan the QR code and do it right then and there. So it really helps for like, hey, do you mind doing this real quick before you walk out? I would absolutely love if you did this. So you don't have to, you don't have to. And the thing is like, patients are going to like doing it right then and there, because otherwise they're just going to forget. It's like another task to their to-do list that they are going to be dreading, and it just takes time, right? And so it's more efficient for their life, more efficient for your practice if we can just get the Google review right then and there. They don't have to deal with you following up and asking like, hey, do you mind doing this again? Indefinitely, right? So that's number 1, how to ask, kind of walk through that. transition to ask for a referral. Once they leave the Google review, if it's in the same visit and you have longer visits, this works really, really well. It's like, amazing. I really appreciate you for doing that. Is there, just as a thank you for doing that, is there any way you'd be willing, would be willing to, do you have anyone in mind that is dealing with XYZ or is dealing with something that I might be able to help with? I might even be able to help with, right? That that you could send in. Do you know anyone that might be dealing with XYZ that that you could send in? I'd love to give them a first visit for free. I'd love to give them a first visit for this price, right? And we give a special for them right then and there. They left a Google review, so it's kind of like that big thank you for leaving that review. I'd love to get a friend in, for XYZ deal, right? Friend, family member, whatever it might be. Okay, so then we can ask for the referral. If we do not, and we have a ticket voucher strategy, we'll drop that link in the description of this video. But if we do not have or do not have a Google review that we just asked for, and to kind of bridge into asking for the referral, absolutely no worries. All we do then is we take them, let's say we just walked through a visit and we heard about another big win. It's awesome. Do you have anyone else that we might be able to, that is dealing with XYZ that you could refer in, right? This works especially if they already left a Google review. And really, that should be the main situation where we're asking for the referral without the Google review first. They've already left a Google review. If you're doing something different, I just recommend asking for the Google review first. It's a lot easier of an ask, and it bridges really well into the referral. So, okay. Now, one other thing we can do for the referrals: implement quarterly direct response campaigns. All this looks like, there's a bunch of different types of campaigns, and we also just simple. If you're ever wondering, feel free to comment on the video. Feel free to, shoot me an email, chris@chirojump.com. I can walk you through what those proven, scripts and offers look like for these types of campaigns. But we do a lot of text campaigns. Text is a really good way to get a hold of patients. We run some kind of special. We get patients excited about referring their friends, family, and it's not like we have to pay the patients for the referral. That's not what we do. I much rather say hey, do you know anyone that's dealing with this thing? I would love to help support them in their journey and get them a free visit, or get them, we give the patient that's coming in the special. And one thing we've seen really good that's done really well, is selling a $10 gift card to our current patient base. And that would look like, hey, here's a we're selling a first visit, a $10 first visit. Do you have any friends and family that might be able to use this? Right. And framing it in some kind of holiday special, right? So for Valentine's, it might be share the love or something along those lines. But a lot of ways you can frame it. Again, if you have any questions on that, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, or schedule a call and we can actually walk through implementing one of those for you. Okay, next. Strategy number 3, affiliates. And this is actually one of my favorites. And I know I'll break down a lot of different ways we can do this, but one of my personal favorites, because as we do a lot of one-on-one outreach, firstly, it feels a little less stressful than doing a little one-on-one outreach. But as we do a lot of one-on-one outreach, or as we do, referrals, or as we do these things, and this works really well. But as we do these other things, we're going to have less and less time on our schedule to go and do all these outreaches, right? To go and do all these different, build all these relationships. And it's always cold. So it's always a little bit harder. Takes a little bit more effort, takes a little bit more time to build these relationships, nurture them, go to the gyms, go to the workouts, right? Go to the smoothie bars, whatever it might be. Affiliates, think about this as building relationships with select individuals, right? So you make a list of these are the absolute businesses that all of my patients, all my ideal patients also go to, these 7 businesses, right? Or these 20 businesses. It's cool. I'm just going to try and get connected and really build relationships with all the business owners of these businesses. Right. And that way, when their patients or their clients need X, Y, or Z, they know who to send them to. Right. And that's the whole idea. So we're just finding other local business owners that sell an adjacent health service and have your ideal patients as customers. Right. So we do want a win-win referral relationship. We can talk about that. But here's the full strategy breakdown. So we're going to make a list of 20 business owners. Right. And this is if we were trying to bring in 20 new patients in a single month, 20 business owners would make it unreasonable. We always try and make it unreasonable for us not to accomplish our goal. 20 business owners will make it unreasonable for us not to be able to hit 20 new patients in a month, right? Like if you had 20 businesses, each of them would only have to refer an average of one person each month to do that, right? And so we find out, step number one, find out where our ideal patient spends time: gym, smoothie bars, yoga classes, Pilates, right? Physical therapist, doulas, if we're in the prenatal pregnancy, pelvic floor PT is really big for that as well. Early family is like pelvic floor PT is really, really big, right? Then we reach out over email and a call. This is a big one. So email is going to be far harder to get a hold of anybody, and it just doesn't show the amount of effort. And we have calls, like we have call scripts, we have these things that you can use, but honestly, like it's a very simple conversation. I just go, number one, hey, I'm a business in XYZ. We do XYZ. I would absolutely love to grab a coffee and learn a little bit more about your business and, see how we might be able to send some patients your way, right? Super, super simple. Once we go out to coffee, once we go out to lunch, then we take them, we pay for their lunch, right? Very few people are going to say no to that. Once we take them out, like absolutely nothing to sell them aside from the idea that like, hey, what we provide is valuable, right? We're not trying to pitch them on coming in for our service and paying. I really recommend trying to get them in though, and offering like, hey, I would love to see you for free, just so you can see what it's like in my practice. So you have a good idea for it. We can provide value. That's a big value add there. But then also they can see if no one's going to refer a patient, no one's going to refer one of their clients to you if they don't trust you. And so the real goal here is getting them to trust you and getting them to see like, oh, the patients that I send over, the clients that I send over are going to have an absolutely amazing experience here. So bring out all the bells and whistles, because this actually really matters. Right. And then when they come in for the visit, like, hey, I would absolutely love to give your patients that you do send over a special offer. So like just coming from your business, like normally we charge this much for our first visit, but I'd absolutely love to see them for the exam for absolutely free, to even see if we could help, because I don't want it to be like stressful for them to like have to figure it out. We can just give a reason like that. And that way we incentivize referrals. You're providing a lot of value to them. You're providing value to their patients, and it makes it a lot easier for people to be willing to do that, right? To give that referral. Next, we want to maintain these 20 affiliate relationships, right? This is so important. Everybody that I've spoken to, so many people that have used this strategy really, really well. And then they notice 5-6 years down the line, their number of new patients are either starting to go down or have been down for years. And they're like, I don't know what happened. I used to get this many new patients and I'm not anymore. And come to find out, they used to bring in a lot of patients from referrals from other practitioners, and they've just stopped building those relationships. They've not been getting the monthly coffee. They've not been getting just like the touch point, having the dinner, having like the check-in, right? And so what I like to do here is like have a process in your practice, have a process to be touching base with each one of your people once every 30 days. I would track in a spreadsheet. This is ultimate importance. If this is the way you're growing, this is the path you want to take, then we need to track. We need to make sure that we're measuring and improving on our process, right? And so we touch base once every 30 days in person. That's the ideal. Find a way to make it happen, right? Could be an hour for coffee that you just block on your schedule, because if that hour leads to an extra new patient, then it is for sure worth doing, right? And then number two, check in with them every couple of weeks, via text, via voice memo, via sending them, some piece of information. Try and nurture that relationship. We want to actually build this into something that is strong, right? And then send referrals their way if possible. Okay. So if you have patients, and you'll likely do this if you trust them, don't try and build relationships with people that you don't like or don't trust, because the patients they're going to send are not going to be the people you probably want as well. So that's just something to keep in mind. And so you shouldn't have any problem referring your patients back to the practitioners that you're building these relationships with. So one-on-one outreach, just another example, right? We're building out our list. We're finding our ideal patient. Introduce yourself, share about the practice, schedule an appointment, save their contact info for the one-on-one outreach. Then we have referrals over here, right? I didn't put a lot of info there because there's a lot to it, but with the referrals, again, it's not going to work for most practices. If we don't have a bit large enough patient base, if we're not seeing, 20 patients a week, it's going to be really tough to get enough referrals, like a minimum of 20 And even that is like super low. It's going to be tough to get enough referrals to like spur a new patient system, right? And then number 3, personal favorite, affiliates. Build our own affiliate list, right? And here's a bunch of examples here. Reach out over email, call, text, free coffee, free lunch, right? Free service, special offer for customers. Then we maintain those relationships every month. Book a meeting. Here's another little note. Touch base every 30 days, right? Book a meeting from a meeting. Super big. Do not leave like your current coffee meeting with one of your affiliates until you book that next meeting, right? Everyone's so busy. Everyone is so busy. You would rather get it in the calendar, make sure they have it in their calendar, make it a priority to both of you guys to do that. And then send referrals their way if possible, right? So kind of coming back to this, we kind of walked through 3 strategies to generate tons of leads for free. You're probably thinking like, wow, that seems like a ton of work. You don't have energy, time to do this. And yeah, the work that it takes to grow a practice isn't going to change based on how you feel about it, right? It is hard. That's kind of the thing. Like starting a business is tough, but it comes with its benefits too. And my question to you is like, how much do you really want to grow? How much do we really want to prioritize this thing? We have a chiro, so Dr. Morgan, so that I would share a little bit about her. She opened her practice 4 months ago at the end of October, right? Not even 4 months ago now. Okay. 4 months in, she has 57 Google reviews, right? She hit her first $10,000 month and she has 16 new patients booked this month, all without spending more than the cost of taking someone out to coffee or lunch, right? And it is hard work. Like she made it happen, right? And here's like another screenshot, which I loved. She actually, you can probably see, it's the first. This was taken yesterday. Or I'm sorry, this was taken on the 30th, but she hit $10,000 within 4 months, end of October to the end of, or started mid-October to the end of January. So with that said, we also have Dr. Kyle, a little different of a story, right? He averaged 8 to 9 new patients per month, and it led to $330K in revenue in his practice before we started working together. That's where he was at, right? This month, we've already helped him bring in an extra 16 new patients alone from what it is we're doing, an extra 16, right? Adding over an extra $13,000 to his revenue so far. And that's just going to continue growing. And so check out his case study. We have that here at the site, chirojump.com/case studies. And my question to you is like, if it took 120 days of doing new things, challenging yourself to move quickly, pushing through just a level of work you never thought you could manage, but that meant your life was changed forever, your family was changed forever, and you were transforming more patients' lives than ever, would you do it? 120 days. And that's what it is we're asking, is like, for that commitment, if it led to everything that you're looking for in your business, would you do that? If you are ready to work hard and do what it takes to get more leads and bring in more new patients, just schedule a time with me. I'll create a personal system tailored for your strengths and weaknesses to make sure you're getting more leads, bringing in more new patients, and making those huge jumps to your revenue. A link will be in the description. Absolutely free. Don't worry about that. And then we'll include that PDF walkthrough as well. So looking forward to it. Have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day and talk to you guys soon.